Action.
You called about the noises in your walls, right?
Oh, no, not me.
You sure about that?
Congratulations on the film. Like, your performance is awesome. It's a fun film.
Yeah.
How do you feel about spiders in real life?
I'm okay with them. I'm okay with them. I'm not a big fan of critters. Actually, I'll tell you what I'm not a big fan of, Christmas beetles. I had this absolutely traumatic moment in my childhood. I know that sounds ridiculous, but you got to hear the story. Do you remember The Mummy?
Yeah, of course.
Brendan Fraser. You know those scarabs that went all over there and they'd come away and you'd be like a skeleton? I was petrified of those. And I went on this ride, I think it was in Disneyland or something, and you went through the Mummy tunnel and they shot pistons of air at you and I lost it. But after I'd seen The Mummy, I was at this I was out at Cape Patterson with my parents. I think I was about 6 years old. And I turned around and what for my money, was a giant scarab creature was coming down. I was on the toilet and I was smashing at the walls. I was tearing at toilet paper. I was throwing it because I thought it was a scarab. So much so that my uncle and my father, who were there, came and busted through the door, thinking that there must have been a snake in the toilet or something. At which moment, the underside, which I'd been looking at, landed, and it was a cute little, and they just sort of looked at it and said, "You'd have to be kidding, wouldn't you?" Like, they thought that I was being assaulted in the bath. But the underside of it was terrifying.
Yeah. That was the moment where they thought, oh, like your career in, rugby or something like that is over. You're going to be an actor.
Yeah, well, yeah, you're exactly right. Yeah, you should be an actor. But I do know that, this film is born of Kia's immense fear of spiders. And as well of that, his fear of being a parent, being a good parent when that goes wrong. And I think both elements hopefully find its way into the film. It was certainly something that I could hold on for Ethan, that he's trying to be the best parent, step parent that he can be. And I've grown up with, two wonderful step parents in my life. And in a weird way, this was always an homage to those relationships and an homage to the step parents in my life. And I think the fear for Ethan in Sting sort of stems from somewhere else. It's a fear of providing. It's a fear of getting it wrong. And as that relationship starts to crack, the darkness or the spider or the monster is growing. And so that was always something we sort of hold into. And I think it can sort of ground the film. Of course, we've got our jump scares and blood splatters and, giant alien spiders. But I think Kia spoke to us at the start that all the best horror films have, something at their center, something that grounds it and makes us care about the characters. And for my money, for this one, it's family, and it's the fear of getting it wrong as a parent.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I think that the kind of the stepdad storyline is absolutely the heart of the film. And to what you're saying, it's almost a relief to Ethan, I think, when Sting appears and he gets to save Charlotte. It's almost like, okay, now here's something I can do.
Yeah, well, and it's a release, and it comes just after his moment where he's, scared and his family and lets something, I think, a depression and a darkness that's manifesting in him has just found its way to the surface in a way that's really negative affect his family. And yeah, it's kind of interesting that it's that moment followed by Sting's confrontation with Ethan immediately afterwards. I think that's Kia being pretty clever.
Yeah, absolutely. And also some pretty gross stuff happens to your character in the film. Like, what was it? Tell me about what that was like.
Oh man, every day it was just like rocking up at 8 a.m, fresh faced or, relatively, and then just sort of being covered in different types of goo, 5 people surrounded in a circle, covering you in lube and goo and rubber web. And then, Kia did say at the start, he's like, I'm going to beat you up in this film, right? And I don't know if you've seen Kia's previous films, but
yeah,
I knew that coming into it. They're always energized, they're always frantic, they're always slightly elevated, they're always very physical. They've always got this certain style to them. It's kind of like an homage to 90s movies and the movies that he grew up watching and that I grew up watching. And it's got get the gutter. You know what I mean? Like there's,
Yeah.
and you can see that all the way back to Wormwood. And so, you know, that was a huge drawing coming onto this in the first place. But sometimes, some days I was sort of like, oh, you weren't kidding. You know what I mean? Like when you spent all day in a vent before lunch, hanging by your feet, screaming for your life. You know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I need a bit more level, or, you know, sorry, we had the boom in shot. You know, it's going, you sort of just remind yourself that this is fun and that, you know, we wanted to be an actor in the first place. But for the most part, it's a huge amount of fun.
Well, at least he lubed you up first.
At least he lubed us up first before he put you. Well, you'd be surprised. We had to go through countless different materials to get to stay on the fabric. So you could literally, there was something visceral that you could see that looked like web, you know? And so I know that the production design and the costume and makeup designers worked tirelessly. And we had like different buckets of goos. There was green goos and there was combinations of goos that would actually pick up on camera, and because you couldn't thread and things like that are obviously invisible in dark light and things like that. So, you know, really interesting challenges that found its way. We had different consistencies of blood, you know, I remember sort of like looking at the makeup bags and it'd be like blood coagulated, blood arterial, blood, you know what I mean? Teeth blood, you know what I mean? All for different effects. So, I mean, you don't think about those things coming into it, but I mean, that practical element to the film is really key to it, I think. And it's certainly very key to Kia's work.
Yeah. And the other thing that's key to it, of course, is is what Weta Workshop contributed.
Sweet Jesus, what the hell happened to it?
Rats.
I don't think a rat's gonna do that.
And the 3D printed spider that was on the set that you were acting opposite.
Yeah.
Describe how that worked.
So the 3D printed spider was kind of what Charlotte O'Reilly was using to react to at the beginning of the film when the spider's much smaller, and they can manipulate that through CG. But the practical spider, which had 4 puppets on it at all times, 4 puppeteers on it at all times, was there with us. And while we were shooting scenes, Weta, the amazing team at Weta, would be doing like physical workshops over how to best get spider. You know, you watch people in full black balaclavas trying to, you know, work out movements for spiders and like how to make things undulate and move. And that's a big part of the draw of doing a film like this and working with Kia and working practically in the first place. It doesn't happen very much anymore. It's sort of like it's sort of something that used to happen, yeah, at least from a practical standpoint, it's kind of through the 90s. And I kind of like the fact that Kia's kind of paying homage to that again. And, you know, we're doing a creature feature that we want you to eat popcorn to and jump off your seat, you know, and there's something really fun about working like that. But it comes with lots of unique challenges, you know.
Yeah,
but we were certainly, when we were reacting or when there's a spider coming down the chimney or whatever it is, it was there. It was just, there was 5 people with a leg each and someone was operating its jaws, and really incredible to watch them create the spider and then and create the character of Sting live in front of us. You know what I mean? It was sort of one of the exciting parts of it.
Yeah, awesome. And it feels like Australian horror as a genre is having a bit of a moment right now.
To me, yeah.
And listening to you talk before about that childhood experience, like I feel like what people who don't live in Australia don't realize is so much terror exists in the Australian toilet, like from snakes to spiders to red. You got a redback down there.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe that could be a potential new franchise?
Snakes in the toilet.
The Dunny, just called the Dunny.
I think Kia would love to make that film. I think that's a really good idea. That's kind of similar. I've been kind of amazed. I think it's one of the reasons it's set in New York. You know, I mean, Americans, people that I've experienced from Europe and things like that, truly have an idea that we're, I think, a bit more wild than we actually are. I mean, you go out to Alice Springs or Darwin, you can find, you know, snakes and we have huntsmen the size of dinner plates, but this idea that we have them everywhere and that there's all these things that can kill you. I think we kind of lean firmly into that. And I think it's one of the reasons that it's sort of set in New York and it's a foreign space. I certainly like it. I'll be a part of it. My people will talk to your people.
Okay.
All right. No. I think and the killer thing's a Christmas beetle.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. It's a Christmas movie. It'll knock off Die Hard as the greatest Christmas movie of all time.
Of all time.
I'll tell you what, we're getting somewhere. But yeah, like I agree. Like if Sting is made in Australia, because of the reputation of Australia overseas, they kind of would expect the characters to go, oh, that's a small one, mate.
Yeah, exactly. I've been having a bit of fun. We did some international press yesterday. As it's releasing in America. And, you know, they'll be like, there are spiders. And me and Alila were having fun talking about, no, it's not you got to worry about the drop bears. You know what I mean? Bring all this. And they take us seriously. You know what I mean? It's like, Alila was so funny. She was like, well, no, they've actually migrated. So what do you mean? I thought they were only in Darwin and so Alice Springs. She said, no, they've actually found their way to Sydney. They found a couple of people recently with puncture means, you know, these journalists were like, you know, it's kind of strange, you know. They think we sort of go to school in kangaroos and, I mean, very broadly speaking, but I think there's this strange misnomer that everything can kill you here and we live in Jurassic Park.
Yeah, if only. And now I just want to divert a little bit. House of the Dragon, incredible opportunity to be a part of something that is, you know, as ambitious as anything that's ever been done on TV.
Yeah.
What was that experience like?
Oh, it's a pinch yourself moment, you know. Every now and then this career, you know, you find yourself exploring worlds or getting to research into different parts of that you never thought you'd come across. I certainly didn't know that I'd ever be over there playing a knight, but working with that caliber of actors, you know, some of my heroes were on there. So Paddy Considine and getting to work with Emma Darcy, you know, face to face, and actors of this caliber that are all, are all so into what they do. And to be backed by, you know, to be backed by such incredible production design and having just budgets that are sort of unimaginable and sort of walking onto operational castles and full wedding halls, mess halls full of fire and animal corpses, and everyone's in costumes that have taken meticulous designers years to make beforehand, before we even step on, you know. So really, when you rock up on a job like that, I always just am saying in my mind, don't screw it up. You've really got to meet the world that you're coming into. And so it was a challenge to sort of play, you know, a knight and again, a family man, someone whose sort of family was at his center, but someone who was a fierce warrior and strong and a different accent. And so it's really about trying to, you know, meet the bar. I mean, everything's so spectacular around you and the actors are so spectacular around you. That's about coming and putting my little piece in. And so every now and then in this biz, you have moments where you're sort of like, oh, wow, this is pretty cool. You know, I got into this business wanting to make films like that and watching Bravehearts and you know, going like, how cool would it be to do those epics? And funnily enough, sometimes you get to. And yeah, I just remind myself how lucky I was to be a part of that. And I remind myself quite often how lucky I am to do this generally. You know, I love what I do, and I feel very lucky to be a person that gets to do something that they love.
Yeah, dude, it was so sick seeing you in that. I thought it was really, really cool. And now I'm gonna let you go, but what do you hope audiences take away from Sting?
I hope that it gives you the same feeling you had when you watched Gremlins in the 90s. I hope people are having fun and jump scaring their mates, and I hope it sort of helps bring cinema culture back a little bit. I think horrors and films like this that are sort of fun and your tongue sort of planted in your cheek, best experience with people and in community, you know. And I have fond memories of sort of going to the movies to watch these sort of movies with my friends in high school and enjoying it, and then going to the games arcade afterwards. And I really like that, the sort of warmth to that. And I think Kia does too. And so I hope to have fun, but I also hope that we've got enough heart in there and enough tether to reality to also have a cautionary tale about parenthood and give you reason to care about the characters.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And I think the film absolutely nails that. Ryan, it's been awesome to talk to you, dude. Enjoy promoting the film and can't wait to see what you do next.
Cheers, man. Really appreciate it. Nice talking to you too.
And cut.